Good evening. It's Tuesday, June 30th, 6:05 p.m. Worldometers has reset it. Let's take a look at today's numbers. USA was in the lead with 46,000 new cases. Brazil second with 37,000. India third, 18. South Africa 6,900. A lot of people aren't really looking at South Africa, and they're exploding. And just off the top of my head, I know that they kept the schools open and they had a apocalyptic amount of mass outbreaks throughout their schools. It's a horrible situation right now in South Africa. Deaths, Brazil, people just falling like flies all over Brazil. Let's take a closer look at the USA. So Texas ended up taking the first spot at 7,900. California second, 7,900. Florida third at 6,000. Arizona with 2,000. Georgia with 1,000. South Carolina 1,755. So you can see here the top epicenters. Currently, Texas, California, Florida, Arizona, Georgia. There's a lot of reports that the ICU beds are running out. I don't know how much longer this can go on before they're going to have to resort to mass graves. It's gotten way too hideous. California on the top of deaths, 105. Riverside and Imperial County are starting to really add to LA's numbers. And it's just a horrible, horrible situation. It just continues to get worse. This is the end of June. July, I don't even know what's going to happen in July, but it's going to be something else. I do want to point out something about New York, though, because they did another backlog. Like, I know I've talked about backlogs before. And they reported a mass backlog of deaths that they said happened outside of the hospitals. So take a look at that. And it was like that one video where I told you that New Jersey reported like 1,000 something deaths, and they were registered, and they quickly took them off, and said they put it in there in terms of the history, the dates, and all that. To me, I think that they could have reported the deaths, but they held them back to control the narrative. That's why I think a lot of countries are doing this. So Worldometers wants to give me a hard time today. I put yesterday. All right, so New York City Department of Health. On June 30th, the count of New Yorkers who have died of COVID-19 increased by 692. The number was probably there for a few minutes and then quickly deleted. And then it says most of that increase is due to new information we received from the New York City, the NYS Department of Health about city residents who died outside the city. If you remember back when New York was having those 800 deaths a day, a lot of people died at home from cardiac arrests and death strokes. I am thinking that's what this number is. People who died at home or just dropped dead in the streets and had to get picked up. That's very concerning. They're not even talking about what the number is exactly, where it came from, who are the victims, what happened to them. It's no transparency whatsoever. So that's interesting to note. And Massachusetts claimed that they had a mistake and decreased their numbers. And then out of all the countries, you got Spain that uses all these lawyer terms to try to prevent themselves from reporting. Now, for news, I don't really have news because Peak Prosperity Chris released his video a few minutes ago, and he pretty much covered what I had found out. He found the stories and I found the stories, but I wait till Worldometers resets before I report, and he reported much earlier. But I will be posting 2 more videos right after this. The first one will be on the fodder of the coronavirus, and the second one will be on how the pandemic has affected psychiatric hospitals. These are 2 things that nobody really talks about but are important. So even though Chris already kind of beat me to the punch on the news, because you should watch Peak Prosperity. They're one of the few rational minds covering the pandemic, like Kevin PhD was another one. Dr. John Campbell when he's not being a China show, but I do have some new info up my sleeve, and so look out for those 2 new videos. They should be up pretty soon. That's all I have for now.